Hey everybody, welcome back to the Half Passed Out podcast. We are recording this on draft day, so two of us are pretty buzzed. You can guess which two. Today we are talking about the Christopher Ward 12 Ti and 1240 that we got to try on and wear around for a few weeks. Before we get into it, I do need to know, Hunter and Will, what watch are you all wearing and what are you drinking?
Well, tonight I brought the tried and true Dale's Light Lager.
Hell yeah.
And so when I was thinking about what I should pair with the Dales, I thought to myself, anyone named Dale, right? What watch would they wear? And I was just overwhelmed with a sense of clarity, and that I knew with 100% certainty that they would wear the Hoursley watch. So shout out to Will's watch collection here. But the Hoursley has made its official appearance on Half Passed Out podcast.
Oh my god!
On the wrist.
I can't believe that.
For the wrist check.
It's gotten more wrist time than it's ever gotten.
That's incredible.
Cumulative buying.
Camera time. That's what it's all about.
Yeah.
You know, all press is good press, and it's Dale approved.
There we go. Did we do an episode on our Temu watches? I know we bought them after Temu.
Oh, we did an episode.
Okay.
All press is good press. Tell Shadur Sanders that right now. Anyway.
Do that. Good luck.
How does the Hoursley feel? I need to know. Because I haven't worn it.
So I am pretty sure that my wrist now has like faded gold around it. Like it's coming off to some degree. The question is just how much.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But having it on the wrist, it's relatively comfortable. It's like almost perfectly sized. It's a smidge tight. And Lord knows how to adjust something like this. So
you just throw the strap away and buy a new one.
You just got to pray. You know, at this point, like you could buy a second strap or an entire watch for, what was it, like $9? So
exactly. Why buy a new strap? Just replace the watch.
The cost of today's watch review, their bracelet is much, much more than that. So, you know, it's a win-win in the value category.
There
so,
you go.
It's the Dales and the Hoursley for me here.
Will, you seem hesitant.
In the value category.
Right here.
Boy.
A lot of value here.
Exactly.
It's only an hour, 5 minutes off from this morning.
Nothing like
it. I will say, the Fuckta still keeps time.
It is incredible.
Yeah.
Wait, is it an hour 5 off because of the time change?
No, I said it this morning. It's unbelievable.
That's like hard to do.
There's like gotta be corrosion in the battery.
Yeah,
gotta be.
We should do a, you know, we do brand deep dives. We should do a watch deep dive.
Just open the thing up.
Oh yeah. Break that bitch.
Yeah.
Christian, what you wearing? What you drinking?
Yeah. Well, Hunter and I like mind melded here because we're on theme. I am drinking the off-brand Kirkland seltzer.
Oh wait, those are good.
Oh, it is good.
That's way better value. That's like getting
exactly.
That's getting a good player
of White Claw
in the 7th round.
Since I've got the value version of White Claw, I also have the value Richard Miller Men's Business Youth watch.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Those are good value. That's getting some steals. Hunter is drafting garbage. That's sticking with the theme tonight.
I will say I've seen several Richard Milles in the wild lately. The Denver Zoo. We went up to Breckenridge, and so like there's people with money walking around watches.
Richard Mille at Denver Zoo.
Wow.
That blows me away.
God, fucking God. We could do a whole episode on watch spotting.
Breck,
at
I
the Denver
believe
Zoo.
you.
People are loaded there.
Wow, should we go to the zoo?
We should. We'll do a live episode. We'll get drunk at the zoo.
Comment in the comment section or just on our Insta, whatever. Hit us up if we should go to the zoo.
There you go.
And if you would fund that trip. Yeah.
Let us know where the best place is for watch spotting out in the wild. We need to know.
Yeah.
The best part is I can't tell the difference 10 feet away between mine and a real one. Theoretically a real one. Maybe they are also Temu Richard Miller watches.
You know what? Out of 10, how many are fake?
Ooh, at the zoo?
Gotta be.
At the zoo?
Well, define fake, because there's like the Bombus, which is a styled after the Richard Miller, but not technically like a fake
imitation watch.
Yeah.
How many under $500 basically? Is what I would
probably 6 out of 10.
I think fewer.
At the zoo, I'm giving you 8.
All right. Well, time will tell. Tune in for
at the zoo. At the zoo. If we include the Breckenridge, I would bump that number down.
Yeah.
But just the zoo,
4.
The giraffes are pooping.
You guys would be truly astounded. I can't wait. I hope we do it.
I'm so pumped.
Well, I didn't get the memo. I was living large. I picked 4 tonight. And I chose to wear my brand new Seiko Presage.
Nice.
With a screen here. It's in red because, you know, some of us like having red watches.
Yeah, I think we both have red watches, and Hunter does not. And that makes me happy.
Interesting. Hunter has that blue dial, I think.
Yeah.
It
Looks like it's from Marshall's.
It's lovely. Look
Yeah.
at the shine.
That's wild.
That is you pay a lot of money for.
Look at that
Dave
second
Bethune.
hand, not
Exactly.
ticking.
That's a holographic watch.
Yeah, I mean, Dave Bethune will charge you $100,000 for this sort of thing.
Oh hell yeah, we love a 720p capture of that. Pairing that with a G&T.
Wow.
Another one.
Mixing it up a little
Couldn't
bit.
get him in the draft, but
A lot of G&T tonight.
Okay. I don't want to spend too much time on it because I don't care about the draft, but I do need to know what was the most
everything I say is
disappointing
gonna
thing
be
that happened.
Least favorite thing we drafted? A T-Rex. Moving
enough.
forward, tonight we are finally doing some touch notes on the Christopher Ward pieces that we received to test drive in the wild. I will open the first thoughts to our initial recipient and active communicator, Christian. Process of kind of just you open both. So what's the unboxing like? What's your initial impressions of both watches?
So the unboxing was the exact same as the C60. I don't know if like their higher end watches come in different boxes, but honestly, it's one of those if it ain't broke, don't fix it things. It was that really nice black box or black felt box with a bamboo base.
Yeah.
I opened it in the car with my son because I was too excited. And I had been talking about it, so he was also excited to see them.
Nice.
So we opened them up in the car, so it was a whole mess of a thing. I don't have a good video of it. You're fine. Watch the C60 unboxing. Same thing. But they were fantastic and huge. I could not wear either watch initially.
Oh, you meant the band. Yeah, I was gonna say, I
band.
didn't think the dials were.
No, there's a 40 millimeter. We got the green titanium and then the glacier blue.
Also 40.
In steel. Yeah, but both 40 millimeter watches.
Yeah.
Glacier Blue.
Both fantastic looking watches, though. As we say all the time, the photos on the website or just don't do it justice. The green was really deep. The texture on the blue dial was very like visible still. I thought it would be washed out. Such a clean look. And then Christopher Ward, honestly, is just very easy to and generous to talk to. I asked for them and he said, yes, what colors? Here you go. Shout out to Andrew. He's been honestly the real MVP in all of this. But yeah, so I had him for, I think, 2 weeks, 10 days before getting him to y'all. Got him right at the beginning of March. Yeah.
That brings up a quick topic. Do you think it would be worth them, and some watches do it, some don't, giving you or just shipping their watches at a more reasonable size?
What do you mean?
It's not unlikely that when you purchase a watch, you need to get it sized. That's realistic.
When you say size, I thought size of the box.
Do you think shipping the watch at give me all the links in the bracelet right now? Now, again, I do realize that takes effort for them to add that process in. So you can include that cost, whatever it is. But I wouldn't mind even on the order form. Like if I'm a frequent watch buyer, what if I could just, punch these out? I'll throw you $5. I'll throw you $10.
Yeah, I think at an up cost, it makes more sense. But
I know it would increase their things they have to do for production. I get that. And as technically a micro brand, the largest of them, but technically a micro brand.
Because then you have somebody pulling the watch off the line and manually adjusting the size. Because you're not
you'd have someone probably adjusting the bracelet and then putting it on the watch is what would happen.
I don't know that would be worthwhile. I think because the C60 fit almost perfectly out of the box. Okay. I think with a bigger clasp and everything, it was just an easy bracelet, and then it had a lot more micro adjustments. For a watch like this, I think you have to include all the links.
Yeah.
Just to make it usable for everybody.
And what I think I would lean towards, and I think what I was initially thinking, just ship the watches with a more standard wrist size. When you create the watch, include me 3 extra links, whatever it is, and then on the side. But when you put the watch together with whatever the world's most common wrist size is. I don't know what that is.
Now, that is how you two received them, with bags of links on the side. Was that a better experience?
I think so. I think it made it more approachable as opposed to I've received watches, I'm referring to my own experience along with yours from this time and I believe the previous time. Receiving them is ginormous.
Yeah.
And it's just a small inconvenience. I'm not saying it's the worst thing in the world, but you want to put it on right away.
Yeah.
That's fair.
It's nice that I think when Hunter and I received them, we were like, okay, I punched an extra link out. I think Hunter did the same, but it didn't make much sense for you to even try wearing it, I imagine, because it
was impossible to wear, which was disappointing. I'm not going to lie.
Right. And so I'm saying in their production process, set the sizing to size more standard and then ship 3 links on the side.
It's kind of like I could see a market for kind of a white glove service of saying like, hey, what is your wrist size? And we'll do our best to try to match it plus or minus whatever millimeters. Now, I don't know if this is the watch to do it. They do have some other watches that are in kind of that higher horology tier, if you will,
right?
Where it would make quite a bit of sense to do something like that. But definitely agree that you're introducing the delayed gratification by including all of the links altogether in the bracelet already. I don't know how avoidable that is from an operations perspective, Will just mentioned, but it is one of those nice to have options so that you can slap it on the wrist and immediately start interacting with the watch.
That was what was nice about this.
Patek Philippe released or shipped out their like Nautilus with the rubber band with the standard size band every time. And of course, part of that process when you take delivery of the watch, somebody sizes it for you right there.
Sure.
But if they're not standardizing a size at the Patek Philippe level, I don't necessarily expect that from anybody else.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, and maybe it just goes to the bigger watch culture. I just think because Zelos, I think, also sent mine in size ginormous.
Yeah.
Seiko did not. This came almost perfectly.
Well, that's a leather strap, though. That's different.
Right, but I didn't even have to make I didn't change anything. It came sized to a normal wrist. And that's probably because when they manufacture these bracelets, they probably set it to whatever the national or international average is for wrist size of just a person. And I'm saying the international average wrist size is not the size that you're receiving when you get a Zelos or a thing. Just make the bracelets when you manufacture them, set them to print with 3 less links.
But again, I had to take 7 links out of both of them.
7 less links. Whatever.
So are you, again, it becomes this thing. Are you shipping 7 links on the side for people with bigger wrists? What are you really doing?
You just include extra links, but then you ship whatever the average. There's no way that there isn't a doctor's sheet of the bell curve on wrist sizes. I refuse to believe that doesn't exist.
I like to believe it's shipped in the center of the bell curve. The average wrist is this big.
We're in draft mode. Everything is measurable.
Exactly.
Arm length, height.
We can't change the size or the wrist size to come in. It is disappointing. It took me an extra day before I could wear them.
Right.
Right. Just covering that. Yeah.
Where I did not have that problem with the C60. C60 strapped it right on.
Cool.
So,
nice.
Yeah, that is definitely a downside to it. What were your initial thoughts, Hunter and Will, when you got them picked up from a bar on St. Patrick's Day?
Right. And we will touch back on, I want to know what your final thoughts were. I got to drive the Arctic Blue for a week, and that is in steel. And then I got to follow that with the green, I don't know, the green titanium dial.
I also don't know the name of the green.
Aurora Green.
Aurora Green.
Good looking out, Hunter.
Off the bat, the personal preference, Arctic Blue wasn't my everyday color. And I really liked it initially because I think the dial itself is very cool. I really like what it looks like. And I thought it was a nice watch. It wasn't my favorite, so initially not super attached to it. I get a hold of the green, and I had a hunch that I would like it more just because I thought it was a more active and fun color to wear. That wasn't as dressy. It's a less dressy looking watch just because of the nature of the dial and the color. That's my opinion on just the color differences. I love the green one a lot more, and I didn't think I would notice how impactful Apple's special branded titanium is. I can't believe the product Apple has created in the titanium.
Yeah. Thank you, Tim Cook.
Can you believe if they had that stuff for like space shuttles and things?
Can't believe it. Wow. NASA really tried to hide it from us. Apple did us such a service bringing that to us. I, of late, have worn quite a lot of Swatch. Yeah. This Seiko does not wear especially heavy. The heaviest watch I have is on a leather band, so it kind of counteracts. My Movado is not particularly heavy. One watch that's heavy is the my Zelos, because it's all steel.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't even think that one's quite as bad. Hunter, you can correct me if I'm wrong. You wore it recently. I think the Laco is really heavy.
Laco's heavy.
And it's thick.
And she's thick and loud.
Thick, loud, and heavy. Very German.
She's real German.
Panzer. I think mostly the Swatch. I really, with all the Swatch usage, those watches are so light because of their bioceramic casing. As I've grown towards that, I didn't realize how much I love titanium until I put it on for a week.
Yeah.
I loved wearing that watch quite a lot. I would be pressed to not pay the difference
Yeah, what is the difference? So the 12 Aurora is $18.95 versus $12.25 for the steel Glacier Blue. That's a big difference.
That is a big difference. It's a lot of watch.
Titanium versus steel. That's
you got to remember they have to pay Apple those
600
royalties
of the watches that Hunter's wearing.
It's a numbers game.
Yeah, it's a lot. I really liked it.
Yeah.
That sucks. $600, huh? I'll think on that. Let's touch on my recap on that while I ask Hunter what his impressions were taking a watch all the way out to Chicago.
Yeah. I had the honor of bringing the Aurora Green Titanium out to Chicago for St. Patrick's Day. I had tons of people glancing at the wrist. Not too many people asking quite as much. There was just way too much fanfare. But do check out our Instagram. I got quite a few photos that were festive and really played off of the Aurora Green quite nicely. One of the more expensive watches that I've worn in a large city, so that definitely was on the mind. And being a review watch, we want to make sure we can get them back in great condition. That being said, it's titanium, so I often forgot that I even had it on and was constantly like, I wasn't swiped, was I? I wasn't swiped, was I? But that's a me thing more than anything. What I found is particularly on the Switch, I had the equal but opposite effect of Will. I felt the weight of the stainless steel version. Oddly enough, it was a welcome change for me because of those experiences that I had. I wouldn't call them negative experience. That being said, I also don't share the opinion of how dressy things feel. So
that's fair.
It's kind of on opinion.
Color opinion is going to just vary. I get that. I would say this watch is a rather dressy piece in my mind as far as just the style of it all. And I'm wearing it in a Patriots get up. So
it's perfect. It's perfect. So I think that I personally think that I would wear the Arctic Blue quite a bit more as a daily wear, whereas the Aurora Green would be a dressier piece. That being said, I think that kind of speaks more to how versatile the integrated sports watch is, and how it can kind of play into a lot of different areas. It is a dressier sports watch than many others, but I do think that it plays into a cool a crowd and a customer that wants a watch that could reasonably do it all.
Yeah. So you found yourself wearing the steel bracelet more than the titanium then?
Admittedly, I didn't have both for very long, and so when I had the one, I tried to wear it as much as possible just to have firm opinions on them and accurate and appropriate opinions on them for this video.
Totally.
I think I had a better experience overall with the stainless steel and Arctic Blue. That being said, I don't know if $600 makes a whole lot of sense. I'm probably also on the fence like Will is. Maybe a $400 difference. We could start talking a bit closer. That being said, I think they both represent quite a bit of value, and I think both are quite a great deal for what you're getting. You're just getting a lot of watch where both of them are under $2,000. And they're heavily investing in the vertical, the 5. So there's so many different options that you can pick from. It's not just the Arctic Blue and the Aurora Green. There's a plethora of different options and different feature sets. But this is kind of like their base model 5 that kind of gets you in the door to the vertical.
Let me ask this. If the steel were $1,500 as opposed to the 12 it is now,
I don't have to think about
steel or titanium?
Titanium.
Does that make a difference?
For me, it's the titanium. I also just prefer the color of the watch. So I would note that. Like, if they were apples to apples, tougher sell. That's right on the money, I think. I think you nailed it for me there, though. Is that a $300 gap you just said? Basically. For $300, I think it's right on the money for the upgrade for me. And I think I would really consider it after that amount of wrist time. I really, really liked it on titanium, and I think I'd settle for that. So I'm curious.
Hunter, how about you? On a $300 difference?
$300 difference. I'd probably err towards the titanium version. There are other colorways, so I'm trying to kind of exit that out of my brain. That being said, like entry level 12 watches, if you get them on rubber, come in at $1,000. And so just looking at the different options and the availability, I think that you will likely find a watch that works for you. And I think that they're priced quite well.
Totally.
and competitively.
I have a comment. I'm not surprised that this Christian, you were so on the money that Apple themselves charges $300 for their patented titanium upgrade
Wow.
over the base model.
Yeah, I'm very in tune with titanium markets these days. It's tariff proof.
You got to get all the keywords in there, so appreciate it.
Yeah. Graphics cards, NVIDIA.
We talked about tariff, NVIDIA. Okay,
Harvard.
That's our keyword. They don't pay us for commercial breaks, so viewers, that's what we
There
have
it is.
to get.
That's what we got. Yeah.
I will say, I agree with Hunter. The titanium is too lightweight for me. That when putting on the steel, it became a very comforting weight because I knew exactly where the watch was. Listen, I spent a lot of time running around with kids. If I don't know where my watch is, I will constantly just hit it into stuff. I was very cautious of the price tag, is what kept like the titanium on my mind.
Yep,
but it was very easy to lose it and forget about it. Not like lose it, but you forget you're wearing the watch. I prefer the green colorway to the glacier blue, but I would take it in steel personally.
Okay. Yeah. Well, let's touch on a maybe slightly sore subject, but CW said it wasn't too big of a deal.
Yeah.
Punching out those links, Christian.
Oh God,
not just Christian's fault. Hunter and I actually did a little bit of research on people having some difficulty with this in the first place.
Yeah.
To the point where, compared to Christian's effort, I saw a Reddit post where a guy basically just mangled his whole bracelet. I mean, it looked bad. And ours, a couple scratches on the screws. We were a little nervous about it just because it's not our watch to keep.
Yeah.
But they said it wasn't a big deal, and we do appreciate their communication.
Thank you, Christopher.
With that. But I do want to touch on that. I guess back to my kind of link spiel at the beginning a little bit too. You're looking at upfront cost to punch it out. We then take that upfront cost, Hunter and I did, and we're told, hey, this is crazy tough to punch out. They were in there. And Christian, your experience would deter you from even trying.
Yeah, so I had to take 7 links out of the Glacier Blue to wear, and that was a very comfortable fit for me. I could only get 6 links out of the titanium. They mark it on the website that to get the link out, all you need is I think a 1.45 millimeter screwdriver. It's standard with every like watch repair kit that you get.
Yeah,
I have removed links and changed bracelet sizes on probably a dozen watches now. I think I'm pretty competent in it.
I punched some links out of the one Christian or Hunter's wearing.
Yeah. That's wild that you had to punch links out of that watch.
That's incredible.
It's wild that you went through the effort.
I don't want to talk about it.
So I think I'm pretty good about adjusting bracelet sizes. I've got the tools.
Yeah. You're
but it got to the point where
veteran.
I was scratching them. I couldn't get some of the pins out. I could only get 6 links out of the titanium version. And so I took it to a jeweler that I trust who also could not get the links out. Who's like adjusted and fixed my Seiko, my vintage Seiko. I trust this guy with a lot of my watches.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it. I know you guys had better luck at Right Time.
We did. They did bring it up. And again, the Reddit post brought it up. This is not atypical for Christopher Ward, it sounds like.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on with these, but that is probably the biggest detractor for these watches for me because it happened on both watches. It was a pain to get these out and back in. It's a great watch, great price point, but the bracelet needs some work.
For me, it's no C60 trend. I'm going to just keep it above. I loved that piece a lot. I really liked that piece. I think for the flat grand almost at the time. And that watch is really high on my list of just sport watch / diver / whatever. I love that watch. So that's still my favorite. And it's going to be, Christian, you hate hearing it, integrated bracelet for me. Not really my thing.
Yeah. I do prefer the micro adjustments on this watch versus the C60. I like the two-sided micro adjustments. You have a lot of range. You can do it. When it comes 7 links too big, it's not super necessary. But
I thought their micro adjustment system is also, as far as micro brands go, Zelos's is just okay. They have one on the inside of the bracelet that you just hold the button and it slips in and out. I've noticed that one can be manipulatable with the wrist if it's a little too tight. Just food for thought. I do think that's really good that they do that, but we did comment again. It's not just us that's commented about this, and I hope if they hear this or see our review on this, I think the machining is probably just a bit too tight, and that I gotta imagine that's what's going on. I don't know how they got to figure that out, but if it's not just us, it's not just a review unit that's happening. It is a deterrent. It makes someone who's not your common watch enthusiast, and I think Christopher Ward does sit in that entry level nice
It does,
watch.
yeah.
Entry luxury.
Entry luxury, and I think people can find Christopher Ward easily and try to get them. And I just think it's scary when you could lose a customer off of something kind of that simple. It's a great looking watch, and I don't want to lose it off of it was impossible to adjust. I'm sending it back, But that's, I mean, when you're a new watch buyer, that can be a big thing, and it's hard.
Yeah. If you are buying a 12, I do highly recommend taking it to a jeweler that you trust to get the sizing done. Even if you've done them yourself before, if you want to maintain like the clean look of it, you're likely to scratch some of the pins, potentially the bracelet.
Maybe bring some WD-40. Don't do that.
Yeah,
It'll rust. Don't do that. Not good advice.
Buff out. Let Christopher Ward handle that part. I will say this: Christopher Ward does offer resizing for $15.
Oh.
So should you find yourself close by in London next time you're there, go ahead and get it sized there for $15. Make it easy on yourself. There is some copy on the website that says that you can do it yourself. Mm-hmm. This is just kind of a word of caution that not only us and someone like Christian who's been doing it for a while, and other folks on the internet that had seen some issues. I think our consensus here is when you're assembling the watch for final delivery, I would probably do those final pins by hand.
Yeah.
I don't imagine that they are right now. But it's difficult for the customer to undo some of those pins, and you don't want to risk losing a customer.
I agree.
So Hunter, you bring up a great point that I didn't actually see this the first time too on the website. I saw the engraving, but Hunter and Will, it's exactly what you had asked for. It's on. You can order
two size,
specific size down to like a half a centimeter of your wrist.
All right, cool.
For $15.
I would.
That's worth it to me.
Yeah, if you're paying all that up front anyway, most jewelers will charge you a fee to get it resized because it's not their watch, it's not their stuff. So they're gonna charge you. We love Right Time. Right Time charges us. We expected that.
Yeah, I generally pay about $10 for my resizings.
Yeah. Right. This is not out of ballpark. This is pretty average, and I think again the excitement that you can put that watch on when you're ready. It was a missed opportunity for us. Again, these are review watches. We don't expect
they're sample
that.
pieces. I totally get why they're not custom
please
sizes.
Don't. Yeah. We're very grateful. But if you're purchasing the piece, I would definitely recommend that. So that alleviates all our really only detractor from the piece. Yeah. I think stylistically, while I had some differences, I still really ended up falling in love with the Aurora Green. And you guys know I'm a dial guy at the end of the day, so I could look past I think got past my integrated bracelet problems because I just really loved that green dial. I really loved I like the titanium. Again, I've been swatching so much that I think that's why. But that's Christian. I do want to get back to you one last time. Your favorite of the two? You had to pick one right now. No other.
Aurora Green Titanium.
Aurora Green.
Like the steel more, but I love the color of the green.
The color,
yeah.
It was more fun for me.
We are running a bit long. Hunter, you said you had specific questions before jumping into this. Did you?
We're going the full hour, folks. Let's keep it going. No, just kidding. No, we've addressed a lot of the questions. I think one question I did have was around the chronometer certification. Curious if Christopher Ward doesn't go through the certification process, right?
Mm-hmm.
How much do you knock the watch itself in terms of value, and or just does the desire for the watch change at all?
It doesn't do much for me. To me, it's a marketing thing. I have bought. I mean, my Fuckta has kept time for 6 months now. It's certainly not chronometer certified. My G-Shock hasn't had the right time on it in weeks. And it's a matter of I will still wear them because of the fashion piece of it, and then I will look at my phone for the time. And it doesn't matter what watch I'm wearing. That's always how it goes.
Wow, clip that.
Interesting.
Make it cut out of this market real fast. Holy shit.
So truly, it's not too important to me. Great. It's an extra feather in their hat. Awesome. It competes with the higher end luxury that they're trying to be in that market at a lower price point. Great. That's fine. How about you guys?
How much more do you think they pay for it? Do you think
I
they pay a lot for
increase their cost by probably 10 to 15%.
I would willingly not pay that 10 to 15%.
I got to imagine it's like a per model, right? You get the entire model certified, and then you can literally stamp the word chronometer into your dial, right?
Yeah. And there are some people who look specifically for that word.
Right.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
But
are you asking, are they charging 10% more?
Oh, they certainly.
That's how much they're
charging,
paying.
I think they're charging 20 to 30% more for that one stamp on the dial.
Right.
Interesting.
Not being like in the know and in these circles, but
I agree. I agree with that.
Do your own research on that one.
If it weren't on there, would you still buy the watch? Would you still pay $1,800 for titanium?
1,800. I do think I am looking for. Is the watch company and that particular model doing its due diligence, right? And I think Chronometer is one of those certifications where they're indicating to the world that, hey, we have a level of timekeeping that is internationally recognized. Right?
Totally, that's fair.
If that's important to me, which at the $2,000 price point, it would be, right? If I'm rocking the fuckta, then fuck it. Fuck the time. That's probably their motto.
Fuck the time.
At the end of the day,
that should be the name of the episode. It can't be, but it should be.
Oh man. But that is something that I would look for at that price point.
That's
right.
Yeah.
If I'm looking at $1,000 and below, probably not.
Yeah, I agree. I think ultimately it's just not my design choice for $1,800, and that's really where I'm going to hold back on that. I think it's hard for me to.
If it were Chronometer certified, but it didn't have the badging, would that make it better for you?
I just don't want to pay $1,800 for that design.
Fair.
For the integrated stuff.
You loved it, and you know it, Will. You don't have to lie to us.
I would take 2 C60s.
He loves that C60. Send us more C60s.
Don't send me more C60s.
Only send them to Christian's address.
That's where they all come anyway.
That's my notes. Hunter, I think you said you like the blue one. I'm on record for the green one.
Mm-hmm.
Any other thoughts on the watches, guys?
Yeah, I think it's a solid offering. I think that Christopher Ward is, they're actually entering even more markets and even more customer segments within the 12 vertical. At the time of recording, maybe only a couple of days ago, they introduced the Loco.
Yeah, the C12.
Also, the C12 in this 12 model. It is unbelievable if you haven't checked it out. It is quite a bit pricier at like 5 Gs.
Andrew, we're asking about him.
And you're getting a whole hell of a lot more watch for it. So that will be the next watch that we will request, and you never know what you might get unless you ask for it. But
sure.
That will
be
the
whole motto of this podcast.
you never know. So I'm just excited to see what Christopher Ward's doing with the 12 and among some of their other models as well. Just really exciting stuff.
Totally. Yeah, it's a great watch. At the $1,200 price point, the steel is perfect. At $1,800, the titanium, it becomes a bit iffy. But
Apple only charges you $300 for titanium.
Exactly. There's probably a little bit more titanium in this, would be my guess. A little bit more.
Maybe a little.
Practical buying advice, again, check it out.
Do
the
your
12
research.
is an awesome watch. I have loved it. It is better than the C60.
Whoa!
Yeah.
Not
calling
for
my
the
nut now.
value.
Otherwise, that's all I've got. Cheers.
Cheers.